And we are recording. So, welcome to the VHS public meeting for February 8th, assuming I checked the calendar correctly, 2021. This meeting is being recorded. As a reminder to everyone in attendance, we have a code of conduct that we abide by. And if you have any questions about the code of conduct, you can find it in our GitHub repo. So, orders of business as we go down the agenda. We don't have any new attendees, so we don't have to deal with that. Everyone here was here last time. Let's talk about recent developments. And if somebody would like to take notes in the agenda, that would be great. What features came out in the past week? Have we done anything interesting that is noteworthy and worth mentioning? Anybody?
I don't think there's been any new features released in the last week. I can tell you what's teed up to come out relatively soon.
Sure.
There'll be a first draft of architecture docs, so documenting the internal architecture of VHS, which should be helpful for contributors. I'm aiming to make them helpful for contributors. So that's what I'm working on. And Andrew is working on support for multiple plugins and some tooling around that. Because right now, the plugin support that is released and available right now, you can only load a single plugin. It can implement many different things internally, but you can only load one file. So soon we will be able to load more than one file.
This might be a very short call. Anything else? Anything else of interest that has either happened or is upcoming?
Not that I'm aware of at this moment.
Okay. That moves us on to project boards, which left us, actually there's one in the project board and one in the roadmap that we want to talk about. On the project boards, we wanted to talk about the process to cut a release, which, I mean, I feel like we should probably have more people involved, but we mentioned last week that we want to put semantic versioning in place so that we can start cutting releases when we feel that we've hit any sort of sufficient milestone. And I believe we're ready to cut a v0.1.0 with what we have in place today. But we don't have a process. Would someone like to take ownership of potentially documenting the process of what it takes to cut a release within our org, such that anyone with org privileges would be able to do so? Would someone like to take ownership of that? Don't all jump at once.
So I think the only gap in that right now is around release notes.
Okay.
As far as the GitHub actions in place, they trigger off a tag on main. So everything should kind of get orchestrated from that. But we just don't have anything to do the release notes. So putting together a change log and getting that stuff, I think, is probably the bigger to do with this.
Okay. Okay. I can try to take on some stuff about release notes because I've done that in the past. But for someone who isn't used to cutting releases and isn't used to how these things work, maybe we should have some form of go here, click here, set the following tags for what we need to do to walk through the process of getting it done once we have some release notes.
Yeah.
We can,
I think there's a GitHub action for doing a GitHub release. We could just chain that into the the tag workflow and get that to publish for us. So I think there's quite a bit we can kind of cut out of the way to make it so that really it's just once we feel like we're ready to cut a release, just push a tag and we should be in business.
Could we maybe just throw together a couple of words and a couple of screenshots? Maybe we do it as
Sure, I'll take that as an action item.
okay. And I have never cut a release on GitHub, so maybe you and I could work together, and that'll be, hey, this is explaining to someone who doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then any contributors that get involved, we would ostensibly have all the information that we need.
It'd be helpful for me too, because I've never done it either.
Okay. Yeah.
See, Zach can be the reviewer.
I've done that. I've reviewed.
You are the acceptance criteria. If you understand it, it's good.
Okay, then I'm gonna put Brad down for that. Yay. I'm gonna call it a pair programming session for cutting a release. Okay, well, that gives us tasks for this coming week. Great. We'll have releases to cut, hopefully by next week. If not, then sometime early next week. Next thing on the agenda is the roadmap. Our product manager is not here with us. And as far as I know, the only thing that we really needed to talk about, which unfortunately Andrew's also not here, was the very lively discussion on how we're going to handle plugins from an architectural standpoint. I really want to have that conversation here in public instead of as a side channel conversation. So
Table it for next week.
we'll table it for next week. Put Andrew's name next to it because he didn't show up to contest it. That is everything that we've got so far this week. Far less than last week, but we were all introducing everything last week. We still have minimal attendance outside the company. We're into open discussion Q&A now. We still have minimal attendance outside Stormforge, and I would like to fix that. If any of you know other folks who have also spoken up on the issues or who are interested in the project that have not been attending, feel free to reach out to them and poke them so that we can get more people involved. Hard to be a community project if we don't have an actually large community. Sort of. Other topics. Anybody want to say anything? What do you want to talk about? Anybody? Anything? Nobody? Nothing? Questions? Comments? Recipes? Going once, going twice. Sold. Sold to the man in the silly hat. Wait, that's me. Okay. That's it. That's all we got this week then. This is a very light week.
All right.
Okay, bye.
I'm going to stop recording now.